Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups, and it's time for my top 10 comic books of the week. That's right, everybody. Thanks for checking out the video. I am Rockin Robbie Billups. This is my top 10 favorite comic books of the week. It's not a spec list. It's just a list of my 10 favorite comic books of the week. But before we get into that, I got a couple of announcements I want to make clear here. Number one, tonight at 8 p.m. Central Time, we're doing the comic book monthly meetup. That's right, me, Comics with Bueller, Bob from Everything Comics, Dylan from Dylan's Comics, and Hero and the Kid. We're going to be live here on my channel at 8 p.m. Central talking about our favorite comic books of the month, and I'm so excited. It's one of my favorite times to just chill out and hang out with some great content creators and some great buds. Seriously, talking comics, it never gets better than that. Friday night over at Jim Mint Collectibles at 8 p.m. Central Time, me and him will be talking about 3 Jokers in full-on spoilery detail. So be looking forward to that. Also, right after that stream, here at PCP, we're continuing our look at the Bill and Ted movies with our live movie review of Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. So please check out all those stuff, but you're here for the top 10, so let's get right to it. At number 10, Mars Attacks Red Sonja #1 from Dynamite Comics. Written by John Layman with artwork by Franz Strucken. Y'all, I love Mars Attacks. I love the old school cards. I love the 90s movie by Tim Burton. I love the 90s Topps comics. I love the early Dynamite comics and all the mashups that they've done over the years. And now it's time for Mars Attacks Red Sonja. I wasn't the most excited for this because I'm not really a Red Sonja kind of guy, but this book kind of really surprised me, but it shouldn't have surprised me because this has been the formula that Dynamite has used for Mars Attacks for years now. They do their own series, and they do excellent work with that, but then they just mash them up with some of their other properties. There's been some great ones in the past. Mars Attacks Popeye was one of my absolute favorite ones that they did, but this one's really, really solid. It's about an earlier adventure, right? So Mars Attacks is typically set in the 60s or the modern day or something like that, and it's about this big Martian invasion, right? This deadly Martian invasion. But years and years and years ago, during the time of Red Sonja, there was this small group of Martians sent to Earth, and this is that story. They come across Red Sonja, and you can imagine that chaos ensues because we're talking about Red Sonja, and we're talking about the Martians. It's really, really fun. I had a lot of fun with it. Nice, clean artwork, great writing. John Layman, every time he touches the Mars Attacks franchise, it just gives me chills. I love it. I think it's super fun. It's absurd. It's in your face. It's ridiculous, but that's exactly what Mars Attacks should be. At number 9, Year Zero, #4 from AWA Upshot. Written by Benjamin Percy with artwork by Ramon Rosanas, Lee Loutridge on the coloring. So first of all, you'll notice I did not cover Year Zero in the weekly comic book review. That's because I accidentally left it at the shop. But now that I've read it, it definitely makes the top 10. Yet again, to me, the strongest book from AWA Upshot is Year Zero. It's a zombie tale told in not the typical zombie tale fashion. Instead of focusing on the outbreak and the zombies and all that stuff, it focuses more on the human element, telling 4 distinct, different stylized stories about people going about their journeys in the midst of this zombie outbreak. And they keep throwing in some new bits here and there, revealing some past information and some really interesting past information at the end of issue #4. I love this issue. I love how it focuses on the humanity aspect of it. It's not so much about the zombies, it's about the humans, but not in an obnoxious, kind of boring, dull, like elongated way. It gets right to the point. It's got excellent artwork. It's crisp, it's clean, but it's layered with detail, and it's got great coloring. The color palette is chosen specifically for each different scene. So first of all, they stand out from one another, and also it reflects the thematics used in the material, and I like it. I love it so much. This, to me, is AWA Upshot's best book going right now, and it's Year Zero. And number 8, The Question, The Deaths of Vic Sage, #4, from DC Black Label. Written by Jeff Lemire with artwork by Dennis Cowan and Bill Sienkiewicz, Chris Sotomayor on the coloring. So this is the final issue of Jeff Lemire's just love letter to Denny O'Neil's The Question series. It's not set in the Question series. It's not a direct follow-up. It does its own thing and its own unique thing at that. But it does have Cowan and Sienkiewicz, and it brings back those gritty, dark 80s type feel. I absolutely love this book. This is the final issue, and I thought they completely stuck the landing. I absolutely loved it. What I like so much about this is, first of all, the gritty, raw artwork. It's just great, and it's what I come to expect and love from a question series, from a really good one, right? But what's made this stand out is, first of all, you got this issue of identity, and you got this issue of how do you solidify an identity in the midst of a time of crisis, a time of maybe injustice, a time of corruption. When you feel like you're weighed down by all this BS around you, how can you clearly define yourself, find your identity, and find your purpose to bring good to a disorganized and polarized world? And that's what gets explored in here. Issue number 4 completely nails that thematic material, and it also enriches the previous 3 issues when it all gets tied together so nicely. Lemire is on fire. Cowan and Sienkiewicz and Sotomayor, they can do no wrong when they're working together. This is absolutely amazing. I love it. It's sad to see it wrap up, but a good story should always have a planned ending, and I love it. This was a really great book. At number 7, John Constantine, Hellblazer, number 9, from DC Black Label, written by Simon Spurrier, with artwork by Mateus Bergara, and coloring by Jordi Belair. Man, I'm really going to be sad to see this Hellblazer series go, because this has been so perfectly on the nose as far as Hellblazer goes, at least in my estimation. I think Hellblazer was the strongest over at Vertigo, with great creators like Jamie Delano, Garth Ennis, Brian Azzarello, Paul Jenkins, Mike Carey. The list goes on. And ever since they brought him into DC during the New 52 and the Rebirth stuff, it's been alright, and he's pretty cool in Justice League Dark here and there, but this is where Constantine really shines, to me, is in a mature reader's book, kind of set in his own thing, doing his own stuff. Great, gritty artwork that captures that feel even more, providing excellent and perfect atmosphere for the story provided. This is a great story that involves John Constantine and his brief dealings with the royal family. I had a lot of fun with it, but it also has a lot of meaning behind it, and it's also got a lot of shock value, but it's also very funny and at times irreverent, and that's what a Constantine book should be. I'm really sad to see that this one's wrapping up in just a few issues, because it's been absolute fire. If you haven't been reading it, you definitely owe it to yourself too, and Vertigo Hellblazer fans, this is the book for you. At number 6, That Texas Blood, number 3, from Image Comics, written by Chris Condon, with artwork by Jacob Phillips. That Texas Blood is turning out to be an absolutely special book. This is amazing. I absolutely loved issue number 1. Issue number 2 was good too, though it introduced a new character, kind of took the story in a bit of a different direction, a direction I wasn't prepared for, but now in 3 we continue that direction, and you're starting to see how the nuance is going to flow out of this story, where all the characters are going to be revolving around each other, and there's one main focus, one mystery, and I do think this book is still going to get a bit supernaturally, but right now it's just pretty much firmly set in a Texas crime fiction noir type stuff, and I absolutely love it. Condon's doing a great job with the dialogue and his usage of the language. It's absolutely written to near perfection, and I love the pace. I love the structure of it. And then you got Jacob Phillips on the artwork, doing something completely distinct and unique on his own, but keeping it set in a Western noir type vibe, but it's a little bit more bright at times. But the detail is there, the grit is there, the atmosphere projected is absolutely perfect for the story. The characters, they ring very true, their tragic lives ring very true, and it gives me a little bit of a sense of connection, because that's something that we can all connect with. We all connect through tragedy and sadness and joyfulness and optimism. And this is something that this book is really kind of melding together in an absolute excellent fashion. That Texas Blood is a great crime fiction book that I think pretty sure will have a supernatural tinge to it, but it's also just a great crime fiction set in Texas, and Texas itself is a character and a theme in the book, and it's exceptionally well done. At number 5, The Plot, number 6, written by Tim Daniel and Michael Morisi, with artwork by Joshua Hickson, from Vault Comics. We are going through a golden age renaissance, if you will, of horror in comic books, and The Plot is one of those at the forefront. This is such a great, atmospheric, moody, genuinely creepy book that's backed up by the exceptional use of characters and characterization and subtext and thematic relevance between the past, present, and even the future of the story. The plot is such a great book. It's murky, it's dark, it's melancholy, but at the same time, it's about family. It's about trying to find something to live for. It's about trying to hold on to something that can get you through the murky waters, and even when it seems impossible, you hold on for life's sake. I absolutely love this book. Maurice, Daniel, they absolutely do such a great job with the story, with the characters, with the pacing and the flow, keeping it genuinely creepy. You got Hickson, you got Russell's colors. That really helps accentuate the story, adds that atmosphere, that needed weight to the story through the artwork, and it's absolutely exceptionally well done. If you've not been reading the plot and you consider yourself a horror fan, shame. And at number 4, Wind, number 3, from Boom Studios, written by James Tynion IV, with artwork by Michael Dialynas. Wind started out just a bit shaky to me, and I completely owe all of that to the idea that it was written to be a graphic novel. Therefore, it didn't quite have the punch or the hook that I wanted and expected out of an issue number 1, especially from Tynion. But issue 2 started building that up a little bit more, and I immediately became grabbed and captured by it. Issue number 3 is the best of the series yet. All of the emotion, all of the humanity, all of the reasonings and the explanations, all that stuff centers here, but it still retains it as its place as a very emotional story, as a very nuanced story, and the artwork is absolutely perfect and clear in capturing that and filling out the world of this fantasy thing. And I absolutely love it. I'm not usually the biggest fantasy guy, but this book is winning me over. Wind is absolutely exceptional. I love the 3rd issue. If you were shaky on 1, but you thought 2 was a little bit better, wait till you read 3. This is completely going to hook you. It's extra size. It's a great read. It's got a nice pace through it. Tynion's script work is just getting better and better. The flow, especially with Michael's artwork, it works so well, so exceptionally well, that it made number 4. At number 3, Family Tree, number 8, from Image Comics, written by Jeff Lemire with artwork by Phil Hester. So this is the end of the 2nd arc of Family Tree, and it continues to completely subvert my expectations, and that's something I really like. For something that starts off with the basic premise of a little girl that turns into a tree and it freaks her family out, to go into such a big, sporadic, emotionally resonant, and an adventurous path, and action-packed, wow, way well done. But that's Jeff Lemire for you. You add in that artwork by Phil Hester. It's got an angular type style that really helps bring about the ideas that are in the script and within the concept of the story. People are turning into trees. It's kind of going to bring about an apocalyptic thing, but basically the story is still centered on family. The story is centered on these individuals in the family, their interactions, their love for each other, their regrets, their disappointments in one another, and how it all comes full circle at the end and sets up what's going to be Arc 3 was absolutely exceptional. The coloring, the lettering, everything adds to that maximum effect that we always get from Family Tree. This book is amazing in other people's hands. This would be a simple, neat concept, but it wouldn't make it past just a few pages of interest to me. But this one, 8 issues in, and I'm more sold than I was in the beginning, and that's an exceptional feat. At number 2, Canto 2, The Hollow Men, number 1, from IDW Publishing, written by David M. Boer, with artwork by Drew Zucker, Vittorio Astoni on the coloring, Darren Bennett as the letterer. Canto has always found a way straight into my soul, and it's no exception here with the start of the full-on 2nd miniseries. The original miniseries was one of my favorite comic books of last year. The one-shot came out last month. Clockwork Fairies was exceptionally well done, and now we start The Hollow Men, the next miniseries, and they haven't missed a stride. This book is absolutely fantastic. The coloring has texture and grit to it that really helps accentuate the thematic material. The lettering helps that as well. The pencils by Zucker, he's able to make a realistic, gritty world while at the same time being kind of charming and endearing and fable-esque in a way, and I absolutely love it. I love that dichotomy of a classic fairy tale and a more adult, hold no punches back story about real life, about real emotion, about running out of time, about questioning whether your heart is pure, about questioning whether you have what it takes to make it through, if you have what it takes to bring about change, if you have what it takes to make an impact on the world around you. So Kanto's not alone now. He's got a team. The characters are exceptionally well done by Booher. Booher's script is so perfectly, and he understands exactly what he's doing with this book. In fact, the whole team does, and it blows me away every time I read it. This is one of the best books on shelves. If you haven't been reading it because it looks a little kiddie to you, trust me, it's not. It deals with tragedy and in dramatic fashion. It deals with some real struggles that we all have, and it does it in a very great, fantastical way. It's a little bit like Wizard of Oz meets Dante's Inferno, but it definitely has its own identity, its own style, its own wow factor, and it made number 2. And at number 1, Batman 3 Jokers #1 from DC Black Label, written by Jeff Johns with artwork by Jason Fabok and coloring by Brad Anderson. The level of hype, the level of anticipation, 4 years waiting to see this concept become resolved. The idea that there are 3 Jokers within the DC universe. How can this be? And what effect does this have on the Bat family? Well, they really start getting into it right out of the gate. I love this issue. This book is dealing with the traumatic and physical effects, mentally as well, on the Bat family from the Joker, from the 3 Jokers, from any amount of Jokers there ever will be. All the theories, all the explanations, who really cares? Because what this book is going to be about the effect the Joker has on Bruce, Jason, and Barbara. And it gets very real, very deep, and it's got wow moments as well. It's got moments that everybody's going to be talking about. Water cooler comic book type moments, right? We're all going to be talking about it. We're all going to be excited. And yeah, I do care about the explanation. I want to know how there are 3 Jokers, but I have the patience. We've already waited 4 years. We might well just wait a couple months longer. But the first issue started with a bang. It's got a great structure to it. The panel layouts and design, very reminiscent of Killing Joke. Jason Fabok is pumping out, I should say. He's also punching out. I've seen him draw before. He just punches at the page and images appear, right? Anyway, this one is amazing. Fabok's best work I've ever seen from him. You add in Anderson's coloring, and it really helps bring that up to the next level. Jeff Johns is doing a great job too, really filling the story with a lot of emotional resonance. I know I've been saying that a lot, but these books emotionally resonate with me. Also giving us that comic booky gold. It's got an ending that's going to have everybody talking about. It's got moments throughout. It's going to give you a bit of a different spin on some of the previous Batman canon, and I love that. I think it's great. It gets deep. You feel each wound that the Joker has ever inflicted on the Bat family, and it's done so well and so methodically and precisely well that it's got to be the pick of the week. It couldn't be anything else. I've been waiting for 4 years. I'm not disappointed. I am excited to see how these 3 Jokers came to be, but honestly, it doesn't really matter. If you give me such a dramatic, impactful comic book like you gave me with issue #1 for the next 2, it's probably going to be one of the best books of the year. Anyway, that's what I read. That's my top 10. What are your favorites? What are you reading? What are you digging? Let us know in the comments down below. And thank you so much for checking out the video. Don't forget, tonight, 8 p.m. Central here on this channel, the Comic Book Monthly Meetup. Me, Bueller, Bob from Everything Comics, Dylan from Dylan's Comics, Hero and the Kids, and maybe even another person or two. You never know what's going to happen on the monthly meetup. It's here tonight on Pop Culture Philosophers, 8 p.m. Central Time. Tomorrow night, Friday, 8 p.m. Central Time, over at Jim Mint Collectibles. Me and him will be talking for an extended amount of time about 3 Jokers, #1, in detail with full spoilers in effect. And right after that, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey and a live movie review. Lots of excitement always here at Pop Culture Philosophers, so thank you so much for joining the Army. You can do so officially over on Facebook. Join the PCP Army. It's the official Pop Culture Philosophers Facebook group. If you can't find it, just go to the Pop Culture Philosophers page, and it will lead you right to it. Anyway, thank you so much for checking out the video. Please do like, share, subscribe. Join us over at popculturephilosophers.com for podcasts and a whole lot more. I've been Rockin Robbie Billups. Thanks for rocking with us. Keep on reading.